Good afternoon. Welcome to Webinar Wednesdays. Writing is fundamental. I hope all is well with everyone. I am Anthonycia A. Jackson, Instructional Supervisor with Miami-Dade County Public Schools, the Office of Post-Secondary, Career, and Technical Education. I am an IPDA trainer, and I'm also a GED state and national trainer. So we're going to start. Things to remember. If you have a question, please type it in the Q&A option. The attendees the microphones will be muted and you will only be in listen mode. Now, today's presentation will be recorded and it will be archived and available on the IPDA website within 48 hours. There's also a handbook that goes with this presentation, which will be uploaded as well and archived. So in this session, we will discuss challenges that students have in writing, review strategies and activities to help students improve their basic writing skills, provide a process for students to learn how to use evidence in writing, and I will be sharing resources as well. So we need to understand the skills that students already have. And with the low, intermediate, basic education level, and that's the scale scores 511 through 546, as you can see, high intermediate basic education, and then low adult secondary education, 584. These skills that students may already have, and these levels are pulled from the National Reporting System, the NRS, and these are the educational functioning levels. Now, it's important as educators and teachers that we know the skills that students have at these different levels. And so it will determine our instructional scope and the sequence for our students. Now, as you know, the TABE and the CASAS tests, they provide more in-depth information about student skills, but just this graphic just shows the big picture of what students should generally know. So in this session, we're going to talk about some strategies and some activities that can be used at all levels, but they are highly recommended for students at the low and the high intermediate basic levels. So if you all go on the GED.com website, there are a lot of resources there. And on there, you can find the performance level indicators and descriptors from level 1 through level 4. And these are very important and just giving us information on what we can use to help our students. So level 1, it starts with analyzing text features and technique and using evidence as well. But when you get to level 2, it also starts with those analyzing, creating text features and techniques, but it goes to a level, and this level is the pass and high for the school equivalency for the GED test. So it goes through analyzing, and then next is using evidence to understand, analyze, and create arguments, applying knowledge of English language conventions and usage, and then developing following additional skills. Now, to build better writing skills for our students, we have to model, we have to show them some skills and strategies, we let them practice, and then they'll be confidence in their skill levels. They really need to see the teachers demonstrating the steps of a process. So you need to model their thinking process of why and how they are doing a given task. They also need ample practice. And so if you have a lot of print materials, that just gives a limited opportunity on how they can practice a skill and before they move on to another skill. So we need to make sure that we provide plenty of practice, especially when working with a new concept, a new strategy, or a new skill. So the key is to provide adequate instruction so the students will not only build their skills, but also build their confidence levels. So writing with details, let's focus on ideas first. So many adult learners struggle with writing. Many of them, they don't even want to write or like to write. They may have had bad previous experiences. So they don't know what to write or how to write it. And for some, teachers need to start at the sentence level. For other students, teachers can build on sentence skills and work on writing paragraphs. However, a part of writing, whether it's a sentence or a paragraph or longer passages, is getting the details right. Details add to the writing. They bring the writing to life. And so we need to start there. So this is a writing activity that you can use with your students. And they become better writers by writing. So this is a simple activity that can be used with students on any level. Find some photographs of interesting topics or locations. In this case, we have photos and they're all about nature. So have participants select one of the pictures and write a sentence describing that picture. Provide the participants about 2 minutes to write their sentences. Remind the students that they should make their sentence memorable and stand out. And as I'm going through this, you can write sentences as well. So when you're teaching, depending on the size of the group, you can have everyone read a sentence, or you can select random students from around the room. So in the classroom, teachers can have the lower writers write a sentence, and then you can have the higher level students write a short paragraph. The key in this activity is to get students writing and expressing their ideas. Don't worry about the grammar at this point. The students should focus on the ideas and the details provided. So the idea is to steadily build students' writing skills in situations which are non-threatening and non-judgmental. And that's one of the reasons why you don't want to focus so much on the grammar at this point. So standard writing conventions. Not all of our students have complete command of standard English conventions. Most students need help mastering some of the basics in writing, whether that is sentence structure, grammar, or usage. So one of the traits with the on the GED test and in the rubric is the one about the clarity and the command of the standard English conventions. This trait covers such areas as varied sentence structure, conventions, and mechanics. And again, don't be too concerned about spelling errors. Remind the students that all writings are considered on-demand draft writing, especially when they're taking a test. So effective writing may contain some errors in mechanics and convention, or even spelling. So can you spot errors? This is an activity that you can use with your students, and you can give them an example of many errors that are seen in many sentences and in paragraphs. Run-on sentences, subject verb agreement, capitalization, placement of modifiers, sentence structure, pronoun uses, wordiness, apostrophes, and punctuation. So you can do an activity just entitled, "What's Wrong?" So give an example of a run-on sentence. I love to go walking. I would go every day if I can. You put that up on the board and just go around and have them point out what's wrong and correct it. You know, I love to go walking, period. I would go every day, you know, period. Subject verb agreement. One of my friends like to cook Italian food. Okay, same thing. It should be one of my friends likes to cook Italian food. Capitalization. We are going on a trip to Hawaii. As you know, the we should be capitalized and Hawaii should be capitalized. Punctuation. Where are you going? Instead of a period, there should be a question mark. Sentence structure. Learning a new language is similar to learning to swim. It takes a lot of practice. Okay. That sentence is not properly structured. Learning a new language is similar to learning to swim, period. It takes a lot of practice, period. Pronoun usage. When the teacher went to buy some supplies, they used their credit card. Okay, teacher is singular. When the teacher went to buy some supplies, she used her credit card. Wordiness. Turn left at the greenhouse with the big tree with the big green leaves. Okay, that's just too much information. Just turn left at the greenhouse. Apostrophes. What's yours is mine, and what's mine is yours. Okay, you see those yours, both of those should not have apostrophes. Misplaced modifiers. Find the section with the pink woman's shoes. There are no pink women around. Of course, it should be to find the section with the women's pink shoes. Then you can take this to another level when you're doing this with using a paragraph. Okay, you can take a minute just to look through this paragraph and see what's wrong. So let's start. It says, exercising does not have to be difficult. As you can see, difficult is spelled incorrectly. You just have to include activities you enjoy in your workout. So your is not you are, it's just your. So it doesn't need to have an apostrophe there. If you enjoy nature, go on a hike. If you enjoy dancing, you can attend a class at your local YMCA or dance around your home. So dancing is spelled incorrectly. Do you like listening? Or I'm sorry, you can attend a class at your local YMCA or dance around your home. There should not be a question mark there. There should be a period. Do you like listening to music? That's a question. Why not put on your headphones and walk around your neighborhood? Did you enjoy bike riding as a child? That's a question mark. Guess what? It's a great workout. Do you like staying at home? You can walk or jog in place. Place needs to have an E at the end in your family room. There are also tons of exercise videos on YouTube. Exercise is misspelled. There are many options. Just keep it moving and you will see the results. So moving, M-O-V-I-N-G, and you will see the results. So you can do this with any kind of passage. And as you can see right there, all the corrections are there in that one. You can even relate it to something that you are teaching in another area, a social studies lesson or a science lesson, and just, combine those lessons and work with that as well. There's so many different ways that, you can use this. So do you know all the punctuation marks? And how many are there? Just take a minute or so and just jot down all the punctuation marks that you can recall. I think when I first did this, I must have come up with about maybe 9 or 10. So the answer is there are 14. The full stop period, comma, semicolon, colon, hyphen, the dash, question mark, exclamation mark, the oblique or slash, quotation marks, apostrophe, round brackets, square brackets, and the ellipsis. And that's a lesson all within itself for your students. So let's start with writing with evidence. Evidence-based writing can be addressed with students at any level. The process is the same regardless of the level. The difference will be in the products that the students produce. And I wanted to focus on writing today because I think in some programs, with the advent of the ABE RLA course, and there's not a separate language course, sometimes writing sort of gets lost within that. And even if your program, if you're only testing in reading and you're not testing in language, everyone has to remember that you still need to include language in your teaching, and you need to include language and writing in your assessments within the classroom if your students are not assessed on language. So that's one of the reasons why I've been sharing and just encouraging the addition of writing lessons in your classrooms. So think about it. If someone asks you why you bought or rented the home in which you live, you might say, it was the perfect location. It fits my family's needs. It had a wonderful kitchen and great room. It was the right place at the right time. However, did you give reasons or evidence? You just made, a lot of statements. So if you said it's the perfect location, you might add, my children's school is only a 10-minute walk away. And I can drive to work in less than 15 minutes. The restaurants and shops are not very far away from the house, which is convenient for all of us. So in that one statement, there's 3 or 4 things that you can say that are evidence that the house is the perfect location. And the same with it meets my family's needs. I have 2 kids. It has, so it has 3 bedrooms, and each of the children can have a bedroom. It had a wonderful kitchen and a great room. The kitchen has a standalone area where we can put a dining table. The great room has a great view of the outside. It was the right place at the right time. Those kinds of things. And the right price, those kinds of things. Okay, so now we're going to move on to real life situations. So which one would be more convincing to you, and what made the difference? So if someone would say, people should get together with coworkers and carpool to work and save money. Or after starting to carpool with some of my friends, I was able to save $35 on gas in just the first week. After looking at my credit card statements for the past 6 months, I found that I spent 35% less on gas than in the previous year. Carpooling is an excellent way to save money. So what made the difference? The evidence made the difference, because you can say that carpooling is great, but the second passage tells you exactly why carpooling is great and how the money was saved and how much and everything. Just makes it a whole different situation. So let's look at this passage about Publix and Wegmans grocery stores being America's favorite. And so it's a comparison of 2. Let's read through this article. So Publix supermarkets and Wegmans tied for first place, with each scoring 77% on Market Force Information's most recent customer loyalty index. Trader Joe's Market was a close second with a score of 76%, and HEB was third with a score of 69%. Publix has ranked second for the past 4 years. This is the second consecutive year Wegmans has earned top honors. Both companies have repeatedly been named to Fortune's 100 Best Companies to Work For. a group of 12,774 consumers were surveyed and rated their favorite grocery chains on attributes, including value for money, cashier courtesy, fast checkouts, availability of items, ease of finding items, specialty department service, and store cleanliness. Participants were asked to rate their satisfaction with their most grocery shopping experience and their likelihood to recommend it to others. The results were then averaged to rank each brand on a composite loyalty index score. Publix outshone the competition in ease of finding items, having the cleanest stores and fastest checkouts. Wegmans was tops in its specialty department service and second in item availability. Trader Joe's was number one in cashier courtesy, followed closely by Publix and Wegmans. Aldi won the top spot for value, followed by Winco Foods and Costco. Wegmans was 14th on that attribute, and Publix wasn't ranked. Okay, so the goal of making an argument to convince an audience of the rightness of the claims being made using logical reasoning and relevant evidence. So when we think back about the article that we just read, we can do a what, why, and how chart. We can talk about, what's the claim, and you can say this is the claim, Publix is the best, Wegmans is the best. Why is that claim made? And then how do they know? Okay, so the why is that claim is the reasons behind the claim. And then how do they know? That's all about the evidence. And then you can see where I got this from, a young man named Steve Piha. For teaching that makes sense, and that's the website right there. There's a lot of great resources there for teachers. So you make your argument with evidence. And in this activity, students can use two charts, one for Wegmans, one for Publix. Even though they tied with Wegmans, Publix is the best grocery store in America, and this is why. And even though they tied with Publix, Wegmans is the best, and this is why. And then you can list the reasons why. In the article, it's said about locating the items, the fast checkout, the clean stores, and then with Wegmans, the specialty departments, and so on. But you can do this as, a comparison. And then you can also touch on some other things which are students, other than this, when they can look for things, and even in other passages that they may read, a comparison type of thing, which is important as well. And so you can definitely add more than one lesson in this. Okay, so where do we go next then? I think that we can introduce now things, the real life examples. And this is, I believe, what is going to help your students the most, because everything needs to be relatable to them. So when we talked about before the what, why, and how chart, and that's an excellent tool for teaching students how to use evidence to support a claim. And so it lays the foundation for writing the paragraph or the passage. And so that chart, as we said, can be used in any level and in any different situations. It can also be used at the literacy level, because the student can provide the claim and then the teacher can fill out the chart as well. So that's a really great tool. So as we move into the real life situations, we need to support those as well by evidence, and then move to more complex situations in real life articles. So they may say, well, how would I use this in real life? And that's why we want to really do this. Now, as you said, I can have pictures. I love Matlock, and I always think about how he always had the evidence, and that's how he proved and won all his cases, at least all the shows that I saw. He always had, real evidence. So that's why I just found some pictures of him to put in there. So as we transition to real life situations, we can use the what, why, and how chart to prepare job applications, cover letters, and interview responses. So, what's more real than that? So think about where a person has a real life encounter and how they may construct a response to something. Say, for instance, you're reading in the paper and you are reading an editorial. Aren't you reading a constructed response? The writer has responded to something, an issue that impacts his or her community. The writer of the editorial has drafted a response that sets a claim or argument for or against something. It includes evidence that supports that claim and works to persuade you that the claim is valid and should be taken into consideration. It's real world writing that can't be done by multiple choice, but as a constructed response. Now let's take it a step further. Have you ever been asked to write a letter, a recommendation for a student, a friend, or even a coworker? To write that letter, what did you have to do? You had to construct a response that included a claim. In this case, the reason that the person or the student should have that job or get that position or get that scholarship. You set the claim and included the evidence to back up that claim. Think about the lawyer in court, like I just showed you, Mr. Matlock there, pleading their case. Again, it is not multiple choice, but rather it is a claim supported by evidence. The response is presented orally in court, but it is still a constructed response. So let's think beyond teaching students how to develop that response for a test, but rather to think about how they can effectively write a response that sets the claim that is supported by evidence. And it's something that they can use for the rest of their lives, because when you're talking about, going on, applying for a job, going on an interview, all these things are helpful for them in real time, and they'll be able to relate to this more. So let's look at these two passages. Is this what we want from our students? Attached, please find me resume, as I would love to be a lifestyle Wall Street intern, as both topics fascinate me, and I have great experience in both. The only caveat is I have to do all of this during non-working hours. Fear not, as I am willing to work well into the night to get clips and additional experience in writing. I am also a great person. Please let me know if you have questions. Or, to whom it may concern. My name is Jay Butler, and I am an interested applicant in the position currently available. My skills consist of being great at multitasking, great with computers, patient, bilingualism, is fluent in Spanish, reliable, and having very flexible hours. I am 24 years old, which is why I think this is a great fit for me. I have attached my resume in the hopes of being considered for it. I am available weekdays, weekends, at any time, nights. Thank you in advance for your time reading this email. Should you choose to move forward, please do not hesitate to contact me, via email. Attentively, JB. Now, the second one, is better, but there's still some things that can be tweaked. But many adult workers are either working or they're looking for work. If they are searching for a job, they will likely have to complete an application or write a cover letter or email requesting an interview. Okay, so you can have your students, read the first letter and then say, okay, what's wrong with this letter? And then read the second letter and let them tell you how that letter is different. And I say again, these are real life situations. Very relatable. So, you're making it personal. So here we go, here with this, cartoon, that robot has a bunch of stuff and they're an amazing person, but that's not enough. So you would have the students create a what, why, how chart that addresses why they should be the right candidate for a job. You can have them identify 3 or 4 reasons, provide the evidence, and then create a cover letter based on the chart. Now, this provides an opportunity for students to practice identifying and using evidence in that what, why, how chart. It provides students with information they can use as they go out and apply for jobs. Now, it's been reported that teachers that have used the what, how, why charts, their students tell them that they keep them and that they use them very often when they are preparing for job interviews. So this is a tool that can help students right now, and it's something that they can use in the real world. I think the best teaching is when we look at it at that standpoint, because they'll have more, it's more relatable when it's something they can use, or when it's something that they can relate to. Okay, so where do you begin? Okay, so you can start with a question, take a position, state reasons, provide evidence. And we're going to do this with, just some questions. So we do the what, why, how chart. Okay, so we're going to talk about cell phones. Now, what is more relatable than that when it comes to students of any age? And so, in addition to the job interview situation, they can also take on responding to specific questions or statements. So in these situations, students are taking a position on the situation when completing a what, why, how chart that includes reasons and evidence. So this is different than what is expected on, like, say, for instance, the GED RLA extended response, where the students have to read 2 texts and respond to a specific prompt. However, this is a great skill builder for students because they have to take a position and then write a claim. They have to state why they took that position and then back up those reasons with evidence. So the idea here is to lay a foundation that the teachers that you can build as students transition to GED preparation. Okay, because you have to start somewhere. And many times your students, even if they want to be on the route to earning their GED, many of them don't test on level 5 or level 6. And we all know that they have to be on level 5 at the least to go into a GED program. So many of them are going to test in the ABE from levels 1 through 4. But you can always start teaching the skills at the level that they're at. And there are a lot of activities that you can do no matter what level that they're on. So questions and statements like this: do cell phones control our relationships? Is technology changing the way humans think? Texting and cell phones have caused young people to be less able to concentrate and focus, or you can do the reverse and have caused them to be able to handle multitasking more effectively and efficiently. Should textbooks be replaced by iPads and online resources? Should the minimum wage be raised or lower? So these are something they can use with taking the 2 different stances on all of these questions and statements. This is a great tool for them. Okay, how about writing about what you have read, which can be the next step. So after they have the appropriate amount of practice without text, they need to move on to writing about what they've read. So gaining the necessary skills to become an effective writer of constructed responses, it takes time. This is not something that students can accomplish in a few days. And so this is going to take, several lessons for them to even get to the point where they start to, writing about what about what they have read. Okay, let's take a look at this passage. What's in your wallet? What apps are on your smartphone? Another thing that's very relatable, smartphones, cell phones. Okay, just take a minute to look over this passage. Okay, so we should start with what is interesting to students. This Newsella article explores the premise that wallets may become something of the past. Think of the students in classrooms who depend on their phones for everything. This article is something to which they can relate and that they can write about. So there are a couple of versions that are included in the handbook that you will be able to access as well. And one of them is written at level 9, and then one is written at a level 7. But the beauty of Newsella, and I hope that those of you who are listening have an account or have visited Newsella, great resources. For writing, you can do so many different things with the passages that they have available there. But the beauty of Newsella is that the same article can be used for all students. Each article is provided in multiple levels. So these writing activities can be used for all of your students. And depending on the way the setup of your classroom, differentiated instruction, one group is doing something on one group is doing something, on the other. So you can assign the appropriate levels of the articles to your students based on their abilities. You have the students read the article and find the claim. Then they identify the evidence to support the claim. They can write a brief response indicating how the evidence supported the claim, and then you can have them share it with the class. And this is a great activity for them. And you'll be reviewing the process for the read and write activity. And you can use different versions of different articles to do this. So look at this particular picture. It says you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. This is a step-by-step, process. And with many of our students, we have to just take them from where they are and move them up. And I also say, because I've noticed a lot where students have their goals when they come, our adult students have their goals when they come to our programs. And many of them are very upset because they want to get a GED, but they don't test in that area. And we have to place them based on, our state rules, we have to place them where they test. But if there's in the student services area, if there's the counselors that can speak with them and just say, listen, we're going to move you from where you are. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get to the level where you can begin to take to start the instruction on the GED level. It just takes a while to get there, and we will get you there. And you can even share with them, but if they, move forward, even if they're in an ABE class, if they continue to move up, some students have taken the GED and have been enrolled in an ABE class. So we have to really do what's best for our students, but we really need to calm those fears about them. I want to be in the GED class. I want to be in the GED class. And we have to take them step by step along the way. Okay, look at this chart. Struggling to successful writers. Okay, now does this look familiar? We've all had struggling writers. We've had, struggling, math students. We've had, our students with their struggles. But just like I said before, we take them where they are and we move them forward. So from this IRIS Center, Vanderbilt Peabody College, it gives us just a snapshot of where struggling writers are, and then where they are once they are successful writers. Okay, in the planning stage, struggling writers are unaware of purpose or process of writing, have little or no knowledge of the next structure of an essay, have difficulty developing plans and staying focused on the topic, experience greater writing anxiety and decreased motivation. But, once they move to successful writers, they can analyze the task, understand and apply all the elements of an essay, create goals for their writing, develop plans to achieve their goals, discuss how and why a plan will work. Organization. They produce fewer ideas. They fail to organize their thoughts. Once they become successful, they can develop multiple ideas and organize their ideas. The draft writing stage. They have difficulty planning what they are going to say as they write. They use imprecise and non-specific vocabulary. They struggle to convey their thoughts, ideas, and opinions, write fewer sentences, focus on mechanics rather than on clarity and organization. Successful writers write using an organized plan, but adjust goals when obstacles arise. They use vocabulary accurately, experience fewer difficulties with the elements of an essay. They generate sentences that support their ideas. At the edit and revision stage, struggling writers experience problems with grammar, punctuation, and spelling, place words and letters too close or too far from each other, do not review and make corrections. When they become successful, they can edit their spelling, their capitalization, their punctuation, make more content revisions, and correct the overall appearance of their paragraphs. Okay, so it takes a lot, to go from the struggling to the successful writer, but that's all in the teaching process. And using these steps that we have reviewed today, we can certainly get our students there. We can get them there. Okay, resources. GED.com. I spoke about this site earlier, and there is such a wealth of information on this website. Not just if you are a GED teacher, but if you're an ABE teacher and you're going to be, you're moving your students, all of these resources are helpful. I talked about the performance level indicators that I shared, and descriptors that I shared at the beginning. They're found here. When you go into the GED website, there's a tab at the top right that says educators and admin. And when you click on that link, all of this pops up. You can even sign up for the in-session newsletter that they have. Always a lot of great information there. They have information about, voucher sales and things that are, helping the students, and a lot of the initiatives that the GED testing service has. All of that is there. But when you go to the teaching resources, and you have the classroom materials that they have, and free resources that you can use. They also have the educator handbook, which is packed full of so many different activities for the students. It's really, this website is really a great resource. As you can see, they have the high impact indicators. They have it, for the English, and you can also view it in Spanish. Many of you may be teaching students that speak Spanish, teaching GED in Spanish. So they have all of the resources for that as well, and they're helpful for in any situation, anything that you need help with when it comes to GED preparation is right here, on this site. It's very, very, very helpful. These are some of the video samples. I put these links here. They have like YouTube videos about extended responses. There are, resources for, RLA practice and everything on here as well. Here, I put the GED.com. There's the Newsella link, pro-con website, and UCLA. From UCLA, there's a website with a lot of writing samples and things like that on it as well. So are there any questions? Let's see, I see one here. It says, can I place the links in the chat? Let me see if I can do that. I'm not sure. I can't do that. I can't maneuver to do that in this where I'm at right now. But when you do receive the PowerPoint, you'll be able to click on the links and have them. It'll be available in a couple of days. So now, thank you so much for coming and just sharing this with me today. We are excited about our next webinar Wednesday. It is on June 5th at 3 p.m. It is called Advancing IET Implementation with New Professional Development Resources. That is, again, June 5th at 3 p.m. Advancing IET Implementation with New Professional Development Resources. Okay, so please take a minute to complete the feedback survey. We appreciate it. And also wanted to let you know about the handbook again, that many of the passages that I shared are in there. The pictures that I shared for that activity where the students can write the sentence and describe the picture, all of that will be available as well. When you receive the PowerPoint, you will receive the handbook also.